sometimes you'll need to create a list. Um, we can very often see people writing something like this, and then just hyphen and write, for example, tomatoes, and then potatoes. The problem with this kind of writing is that for Mozilla or for any software, there is no semantic link between these three elements. So it just thinks it's different. Each one is a different paragraph, because every time you do something, if you put it in P, it's going to be different paragraphs, which is semantically false because they all belong to the same element, which is a list. So what you can do instead of using P's is, this is the first P, you close it, and then you have to create a list. How do you do that? You don't have to hyphen, because imagine that you copy paste some text to put it somewhere else, and in that text you're not supposed to use hyphen but another symbol. So we've got a different method. So do something like this, and then you need the UL. It means unordered list, and it's going to be closed up after the list. So this means beginning of the list, and then each time we've got an element, we have the li tag. Have to open and close every time. And li means list item. So you've got the UL, and we've got li nested inside UL. So we save. Then you've got something like this. So you see there's there are filled circles as a symbol for each item. We can afterwards create a style sheet and decide which symbol we're going to use for this before each item. And then if we don't want to use unordered and we want to have something like 1, 2, 3, we have to use the OL, ordered list, save, and then go refresh. Of course, something like this. Again, they have many different kinds of numbering, but the formatting is not important right now. So this is what we do. This is quite easy to do. And let's imagine that you've got you want another list inside tomatoes. This is a bit tricky, so be careful. So we've got tomatoes, potatoes, and rice. I'm going to do UL, and it's much semantically it's much more interesting. So we've got the first list item, which is tomatoes, and we've got a sub list. We've got green tomatoes and red tomatoes. So what we're going to do is, the sub list for tomatoes is a part of this item. It doesn't belong to potatoes. It doesn't belong to the UL, the general UL. It belongs to potatoes. It is referring to potatoes. So that means we can do something like this. Do not close li, because if you close li for tomatoes, it's going directly to potatoes. So semantically it's false. And here we can create another list. You start with UL and then li, green, close the li, again li, red, close the UL, and then there's a li opened here that has to be closed. And then we go to the next potatoes, save, and we're going to do something like this. If you need another sublist for green, again you go to green. It's a sublist for green, so it has to be before the end of the li. So do something like this, put it all alone, so green, and then European green tomatoes, or Asian, or it doesn't matter. And then in order to create a new list, you need the UL before, or the OL. So there you go. So just see each list individually. So you've got Lee, we open Lee, so you have to close it then, and then you create a new list. Within that list, you've got two lists. When you see one list after another separately, it makes more sense. If you see everything like that, it appears a bit weird. Save. Then we've got something like this. There's another type of list we can find in here, which is for dictionaries or something like that. It's called the DL. So what you can do is this DL. So you have to have the closing tag, of course, and then you've got DT for the term. So for example, you write the term sophisticated, close it, and then you've got the DT definition, and so the term sophisticated, let's say it means classy and whatever. Then you've got another one such as conceited. Got the word conceited, which means arrogant. The difference between the two lists is that with the UL or OL lists, you've got each item separately. So tomatoes has nothing to do with potatoes. Each one is a separate list item. Whereas with DL, you've got pairs of values. So you've got the DT, DD. So let's see what happens. Go something like this. So the term and the definition, term and definition. If you want to format later, you can have, for example, the term in bold, and then this in italic, etc. And you can find the DL here in example. You've got nested lists, etc. So you've got the OL, UL, DL, and list item DT, and definition list and definition definition.